Good evening. Welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Work has begun in the Parliamentary Committee on a new bill that would limit the share of ownership in Polish media by entities based outside the European Union. Most opposition members are deeply critical of the proposed bill, which they argue has been drafted in order to muzzle one of the country's largest television stations, TVN, which is currently owned by American investors. Emotions are running high during the debate at the first reading of the bill. Opposition MPs requested that the bill be rejected at the very beginning of the committee's work. We want this bill to be rejected in its entirety so that we will quickly forget about it. According to Jarosław Zieliński, MP of the ruling Law and Justice Party, the opposition's arguments are biased. These were the issues that were already expressed during the discussion about PKN Orlen buying back Polska Press. I have a feeling of such déjà vu. I'm just listening to the same thing as then. Commenting on the debate, Deputy Chairman of the Law and Justice Party Marek Suski stated that some MPs care about Polish interests, while others are always ready to take the side of foreign entities. We are one of the least protected countries in Europe, hence the protection and enforcement of existing regulations is needed, and all entities that operate in our market should be subject to these regulations and respect them. The lower house of Parliament is expected to vote on the bill on the 11th of August. The European Union has announced that it is on course to hit the target of fully vaccinating at least 70% of the adult population by the end of the summer, given the percentage of those aged 18 and over who have now received a first dose. The race to reach the target comes as a number of new daily cases has been rising in Western Europe for weeks because of the spread of the Delta variant. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the bloc had reached the milestone of 70% of adults having received a first dose, and that 57% of the bloc's adult population is now fully vaccinated. Projections show that the European Union would reach its goal by the end of the summer. EU Health Commissioner Stella Kyriakides said in a separate statement.
The European Union has kept its word and has delivered. Our target was to protect 70% of adults in the European Union with at least one dose of vaccination in July. Today we have achieved this target, and 57% of adults already have the full protection of double vaccination. So these figures put Europe among the world leaders.
After a sharp ramp-up in supplies from the second quarter, particularly of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, von der Leyen said the European Union was now among the world leaders.
The catch-up process has been very successful, but we need to keep up the effort. The Delta variant is very dangerous, and I therefore call on everyone who has the opportunity to be vaccinated for their own health and to protect others.
The European Union's vaccine campaign got off to a slow start relative to the likes of the United Kingdom and the United States due to delays in deliveries of vaccine doses, notably those of AstraZeneca, against which it launched legal proceedings. Tunisian President Kais Saied has rebuffed accusations by political opponents who decry his decision to sack the government and suspend parliament with help from the army as a coup. The president has stated that people putting forward such claims should revise their constitutional lessons, as he claims that his action came in line with Article 80 of the Constitution, giving the president powers to act in critical situations. The Biden administration has stated that it is worried by the developments in Tunisia. Tunisia is facing the worst crisis in its decade of democracy on Monday after Saied sacked the government and suspended parliament with help from the army, a move denounced as a coup by the country's main parties, including Islamicists. Some have talked yesterday about a coup. I don't know in which law or political science school they studied. How can a coup be based on the Constitution? This is an implementation of the constitutional text. Article 80 of the Constitution gave the President of the Republic the right to take procedures he sees necessary in the face of imminent danger. He extended some existing measures aimed at countering the pandemic, including a curfew and internal travel bans, but which would also have the effect of damping down street opposition. Saied's action followed months of deadlock and disputes pitting him against Prime Minister Hichem Mehihi and a fragmented parliament as Tunisia descended into an economic crisis exacerbated by one of Africa's worst COVID-19 outbreaks. The crisis risks morphing into street confrontations as Saied's critics, including Islamicists repressed for decades under a previous autocracy, warned he was endangering the democratic system introduced after the 2011 Arab Spring uprising. As protests erupted in January, the government and old parties of parliament like Ennahda bore the brunt of the public's wrath. That wave of anger finally broke last week as COVID-19 cases spiked. On Sunday, hours before Sayed's dramatic escalation of his long-running dispute with the political elite, protesters attacked the offices of the Islamist Ennahda party around the country. BioNTech hopes to build on its success with the COVID-19 vaccine by developing the first vaccine for malaria based on the mRNA technology. The company has announced that it plans to start clinical trials by the end of 2022 in an attempt to eradicate the mosquito-borne illness. The Germany-based company, which developed a COVID-19 vaccine with its partner Pfizer in 10 months, has stated that it is also exploring vaccine production in Africa. Scientists around the world have been working for decades to develop a vaccine to prevent malaria, which infects millions of people every year and kills more than 400,000, most of them young children in Africa. Malaria is a complex infection caused by a parasite that evades recognition by the immune system, says Ugur Sahin, who founded BioNTech.
Our goal is to develop a vaccine which makes the malaria parasite visible and attackable by the immune system from the very beginning, when it is most vulnerable.
Messenger RNA vaccines prompt the human body to make a protein that is part of the virus, triggering an immune response. They're also quicker to develop than traditional vaccines and can be adapted relatively easily.
So we plan for success from the very beginning. The second goal of our malaria project is to set up intelligence and sustainable mRNA manufacturing sites using modern digital technologies. This objective is part of our overall strategy to enable people around the world to manufacture our vaccines.
The world's first and only licensed malaria vaccine, Mosquirix, was developed by GlaxoSmithKline over many years of clinical trials across several African countries, but it is only around 30% effective. BioNTech also plans to start a clinical trial to test a vaccine candidate for tuberculosis in 2022 and is working with partners to develop vaccines against 9 different infectious diseases, as well as for cancer. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.